That was the craziest game I've ever seen. That game between the Lakers and Pacers was absolutely insane from start to finish. It had everything. Scoring runs, blown leads, wild momentum swings, and it ended in the most dramatic way possible. The Lakers were on a 3-game losing streak and desperately needed a win. The pressure was real, and they walked right into Indiana, where things are never easy. They started out hot, jumped out to an early lead, but the Pacers immediately punched back with 8 straight points. The turnovers piled up early, and the Pacers got way too many easy looks in transition. But after a timeout, the Lakers responded with threes from Rui and Luka. That settled them down a bit. Then, Luka caught fire and buried 3 straight from deep. Still, the Pacers wouldn't go away, and they kept trading blows before Gabe Vincent hit a big 3 to end the first quarter. Even then, the Lakers trailed by 5, down 33-28. Once the second quarter started, the Lakers went on an unreal tear. They scored 18 unanswered points. 18. Austin Reeves went crazy, scoring 11 straight during that stretch and pushing the lead into double digits. Indiana finally scored, but the damage was done. Luka checked back in and immediately picked up right where Reeves left off. By halftime, the Lakers had put up 40 points in the second quarter alone and took a 68-55 lead into the break. It looked like they were finally going to cruise to a win, but then came the third quarter. And just like it's happened far too many times this season, the Lakers came out completely flat. Miles Turner scored 10 straight points to pull Indiana back into it, and turnovers once again haunted Los Angeles. They just kept giving Indiana life, and once the Pacers started hitting threes, the entire feel of the game shifted. Their lead evaporated. A timeout helped briefly, especially with Dorian Finney-Smith and Vincent hitting back-to-back threes. But Indiana kept charging. The quarter ended with the Lakers barely hanging on, up just 95-92. Heading into the fourth, it looked bad for LeBron James. He had only scored 3 points through 3 quarters, and his streak of 1,282 straight games, scoring in double figures, was legitimately in jeopardy. But he didn't let it die. He came out aggressive, attacked the rim, hit free throws, got a layup, and quickly got to 10 points to keep the streak alive. That surge helped get the lead back up. But just as fast as it went up, it was gone again. The Pacers answered with a 17-2 run, and suddenly, they were up for the first time since the second quarter. Luka answered with a huge 3 and a strong layup, but it was still anybody's game. With less than a minute left, Tyrese Halliburton converted a 3-point play that gave Indiana a 1-point lead. Then came the final possession. Luka missed a mid-range jumper, and for a split second, it looked like the Lakers were about to blow another close one. But right at the buzzer, LeBron was there to tip it in, and the Lakers escaped with a wild 120-119 win. Now the stats tell you everything about how each player impacted this one. Luka led the way with 34 points. He shot 11 of 21 from the field, nailed 6 out of 10 from deep, and knocked down 6 of 7 from the line. He added 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and 1 block. He controlled the tempo and delivered every time things got shaky. By the way, if you guys want to watch a more fun style of video, I started a new channel. For the first video, I did every NBA championship explained. So of course I talk about all the Lakers teams, Wilts, Magics, Kobe, LeBron. I left a link to the first video in the description, pinned comment, and I'll leave a link at the end of this video if you want to finish this one first. I genuinely appreciate if you could check this channel out. Thanks. Anyways, the Lakers. Austin Reeves stepped up again in a big way with 24 points on 8 of 16 shooting. He wasn't great from 3, making just 1 of 8, but he made every single free throw, going 7 for 7. He added 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and picked up a steal. His run in the second quarter flipped the game. LeBron finished with 13 points, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists. He went 4 for 12 from the field and missed all 3 of his attempts from 3, but he was perfect from the free throw line, hitting all 5 attempts. He also grabbed a steal. That last rebound and putback bucket at the buzzer made all the difference. He wasn't efficient scoring, but he showed up in every other part of the game. Jackson Hayes had a near perfect night. He scored 13 points on a perfect 6 for 6 from the floor. He grabbed 2 rebounds, dished out 1 assist, and blocked 1 shot. He didn't try to do too much, just played his role and finished everything inside. Rui was ridiculously efficient too. He had 14 points on just 5 shot attempts. He hit 4 of those shots, all of them from behind the arc, and he also knocked down both of his free throws. He grabbed 4 rebounds and had 1 assist. His 2 big threes in the fourth kept the Lakers from falling apart late. Off the bench, Dorian Finney-Smith came through with 11 points on 4 of 7 shooting. He hit 3 threes out of 5 attempts, pulled down 3 rebounds, handed out 1 assist, grabbed 2 steals, and added a block. His all-around performance was massive, especially with his activity on defense and his timely threes. Gabe Vincent added 6 points off the bench. He hit 2 threes on 5 attempts and shot 2 of 6 overall. He grabbed 1 rebound and picked up 1 steal. He didn't rack up counting stats, but his 3 at the end of the first quarter and another in the second half gave them just enough juice when they needed it. Jared Vanderbilt didn't score in his minutes, going 0 for 1 from the field and 0 for 1 from 3, but he played hard. He grabbed 6 rebounds and dished 3 assists. He didn't record a steal or block, but his hustle and movement helped fill some important gaps. This win wasn't pretty. The Lakers gave the ball away way too many times, got outscored in both the first and third quarters, and let the Pacers take over for stretches. But their stars came through in the fourth. The bench contributed in small but critical ways. They dominated the second quarter and held just enough composure late to sneak out of Indiana with a much-needed win. Everyone in the starting 5 scored at least 13 points. Luka and Reeves combined for 58. LeBron grabbed 13 rebounds and made the biggest play of the night. Hayes was flawless. Hachimura couldn't miss from deep. The bench didn't carry the scoring, but they hit their shots and played smart when it mattered most. The Lakers absolutely had to win this one, and while it wasn't comfortable, the numbers say they got it done. But watching that, there's a few things I want to talk about. I think it's safe to say LeBron is the clutchest player ever. LeBron James just added another clutch masterpiece to his legendary resume, and this one meant more than just a win. It gave him the second most game-winning buzzer beaters in NBA history. That tip-in against the Pacers wasn't just a lucky bounce. It was another reminder that when the clock's winding down and the pressure's rising, he's the one player who's not just comfortable, he's built for it. And with the way he's still going, even in year 22, it's not wild to think he might eventually top that list. That last-second finish against Indiana wasn't his flashiest moment, but it was a perfect example of how he constantly delivers when it matters the most. LeBron's track record in crunch time is loaded with stats that prove just how consistent and dominant he's been under pressure. Let's start with the playoff. He's hit 5 game-winning buzzer beaters in the postseason, more than anyone else in league history. Jordan had 3, Kobe had 1, and everyone else is behind. 5 of them. That's not even including other clutch shots in the final moments that didn't technically beat the buzzer. Those are just the ones that ended the game, right then and there. In those final seconds, he's 7 for 12 in the playoffs, when taking shots to tie or win the game. That's 58.3% in the most intense scenarios. That's not just great, it's historically elite. Just to show how rare that kind of efficiency is, consider this. When you take a group of elite scorers, players like Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Dirk Nowitzki, Tim Duncan, Nikola Jokic, Tracy McGrady, and Steve Nash, their combined total in those same situations is 6 for 50. That's just 12%. LeBron stands way above the crowd in both execution and consistency. And let's not forget, every one of those playoff buzzer beaters carried real weight. Each one flipped a loss into a win, which means the cumulative win probability added from those shots is likely above 3. Every single one shifted a series, silenced a crowd, or stunned the opponent. In the regular season, the clutch doesn't fade for him either. He has 23 game-winning shots, which ties him with Kobe Bryant and puts him just 2 behind Jordan's 25. That means he's delivered a game winner nearly once a season for over 2 decades. And that's just counting shots that put the team ahead in the final seconds or at the buzzer. When you look deeper, his entire clutch time profile is insane. The NBA defines clutch time as the last 5 minutes of a game with the score within 5 points. Across his career, LeBron's taken over 2,700 of those shots and still holds an effective field goal percentage above 51%. That's while being the focal point every single time. For context, Jordan's is 46% during the tracked years, and that doesn't even factor in the same volume or defensive attention. By the way, if you guys enjoy these deep dives, I'll be posting every day during this season. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks. Anyways, LeBron. And in the last 24 seconds of playoff games, he's 9 for 25 on go-ahead shots. That's 36% in the most intense windows. In the regular season, he's about 19 for 47 on those same types of plays, which puts him at over 40%. Nobody else taking that many shots in those moments is staying that efficient. LeBron's not just taking these shots, he's making them at a level that changes outcomes night after night. What makes it even more impressive is the variety of ways he scores. He's not just pulling up from 3 or driving to the rim every time. His buzzer beaters include catch and shoot threes, off-balance runners, off-glass floaters, and step-back jumpers. He's got every tool in the clutch bag. Remember the one against Orlando in the 2009 Eastern Conference Finals? That was a quick catch and shoot 3 with 1 second left. Or how about the floater off the glass against Toronto in 2018? Completely different looks, both absolute daggers. In fact, about 60% of his game-winning shots are unassisted, which tells you he's not just finishing plays, he's creating them by himself. That's something very few players have done consistently over 22 seasons. He's also the only player in league history to record a triple-double in a game that included a buzzer-beating game winner. He did it in 2018 against Indiana in the playoffs. 44 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and the shot that ended it. And when you zoom out to all playoff clutch moments, the last 5 minutes of close games, LeBron's directly responsible for over 1,200 points, whether by scoring or assisting. That's the most of any player since tracking started in the late 90s. He's also got game time, or winning shots, in nearly 10% of his playoff games. That's more often than Jordan, and more than double Kobe's rate. It's unreal. Advanced stats back it all up too. His player impact estimate in playoff clutch situations consistently sits above 20, which means he's involved in over 20% of all events on the floor in those moments. Scoring, passing, rebounding, you name it. His usage rate climbs over 40% during those stretches, meaning he's taking on nearly half the team's possessions. And still, he keeps his true shooting percentage above 55%, even while drawing double teams and getting every team's best shot defensively. And here's the wildest part. When he's on the court, in clutch playoff moments, his team's net rating is plus 15.8. When he's off, it drops to minus 3.2. That's a swing of nearly 19 points per 100 possessions. It's not even close. His presence alone makes that kind of impact. Coaches trust him with everything. Teammates feed off him. Opponents fear him. He's the system when the clock gets tight. What really sets him apart is how long he's done it. LeBron's played in 1,492 regular season games and 282 playoff games through this season. And across that time, he's delivered game-winning or game-tying plays in over 50 games. That's more than most players get chances for. He's responsible for over 2,000 clutch points in his career. That's not just better than most. It's about double what even elite players like Kevin Durant have in those situations. Compared to Jordan, LeBron's 7 for 12 is more efficient than Jordan's 9 for 18. And the gap gets even wider when you include assists, rebounds, and defensive plays in those moments. Compared to Kobe, it's not even close. Kobe had just one playoff buzzer beater and a far lower shooting percentage in clutch time. Even today's stars, they've got a few clutch wins, but the volume and consistency LeBron brings just isn't matched. LeBron's done this with different teams, different rosters, different roles. He's done it with his shot, his passes, his rebounding, and his basketball mind. He doesn't just rise to the occasion, he creates the occasion. He changes the outcome. Night after night, season after season, he's the one you trust when everything's on the line. And now, after that tip-in against the Pacers, he's got yet another stat to prove it. Second most buzzer beaters ever, most in playoff history, unmatched in clutch consistency, and still going strong. But after that, I want to talk about Luka. Luka has been on an absolute tear since arriving in Los Angeles. Ever since the Lakers traded for him on February 2nd, he's not just fit in, he's taken over. In the 17 games he's played since February 1st, he's been one of the most dominant offensive forces in the league. And the numbers back it all up. He's averaging 26.9 points per game, while playing just a little over 34 minutes each night. It hasn't mattered who the opponent is. He's been relentless, night after night. His scoring is the headline, but his full stat line tells a much bigger story. He's pulling down 8.7 rebounds a game and handing out 7.9 assists. That means on average, he's directly impacting over 40 points every night between scoring and passing. Add in 1.8 steals and half a block per game, and he's affecting both ends of the floor. He's not just putting up numbers, he's elevating everyone around him and making the Lakers look like contenders again. Even in a new system with new teammates, Luka hasn't missed a beat. He's scored a total of 458 points in these 17 games, and the consistency has been wild. He's had big nights and efficient ones, and sometimes both. Against Milwaukee on March 13th, he absolutely exploded for 45 points. That was the highest scoring night he's had in a Lakers uniform so far. And it wasn't just volume, it was domination. Nobody on the Bucks could stay in front of him, and he punished them from all over the floor. Just 9 days later, against the Bulls, on March 22nd, he dropped 34 points while shooting 55.6% from the field. Even crazier, he hit over 61% of his threes that night, and then he followed that up 2 days later by scoring 32 against the Magic. That night, his shooting dipped a little, with just under 40% from the field, but he still knocked down 40% from deep and added 7 rebounds and 7 assists. Even when his shot isn't falling perfectly, he finds ways to score, rebound, pass, and impact winning. His field goal percentage over the full stretch sits at 41.3%, That's not elite efficiency, but considering the volume, difficulty, and defensive attention, it still gets the job done. From 3, he's been better. 36.3% is solid, especially with the types of shots he takes. And he's getting to the line too, shooting 77% from the stripe. That combination of volume and consistency makes him dangerous in every scenario. Luka's advanced shooting numbers paint an even clearer picture of his efficiency. His effective field goal percentage is 47.8%, which adjusts for his three-point shooting. And his true shooting percentage, which takes into account field goals, threes, and free throws, is sitting at 56.4%. That's a very strong number for someone carrying this kind of offensive load. When he's on the floor, the Lakers are simply better. His plus-minus backs that up. Since joining the team, he's got a plus 110. That means when he's on the court, the Lakers are outscoring their opponents by a wide margin. He's not just scoring empty points, he's putting the team in position to win. And while he's been carrying so much of the offense, he's also staying active defensively, racking up 31 steals over the 17-game stretch. Of course, Luka still turns the ball over more than you'd like. He's averaging 4.5 turnovers a game, and he's got 76 total since arriving. But that's part of the price that comes with being the main playmaker. When you're handling the ball, almost every possession, you're going to have giveaways. The important part is that he offsets those mistakes by doing everything else at such a high level. His total rebounding impact is huge too. 148 boards in 17 games is impressive for a guard. And those aren't just stat padding rebounds. He's grabbing keyboards in traffic and helping the Lakers push the tempo. With 134 total assists over that stretch, he's clearly looking for his teammates just as often as he's looking to score. What's made Luka's start in Los Angeles even more impressive is how quickly he's adapted to the system. He's already found chemistry with guys like Austin Reeves, Rui, and Dorian Finney-Smith. He's drawing double teams constantly and still finding the open man. He's running the offense, scoring when he has to, and making sure the team stays balanced. And he's doing all of it while learning on the fly with a new coaching staff in a brand new locker room. Even the eye test confirms what the stats are saying. He looks comfortable out there. He's leading, he's controlling the tempo, and he's making winning plays. He's not just racking up big numbers on a bad team. He's elevating a group that was struggling and giving them a serious shot in every game they play. When Luka's locked in like this, you can feel it. He slows the game down, makes everyone play at his speed, and forces teams to make tough decisions. And his consistency is what's making all of this work. 17 games in, and he's already had several nights over 30 points, a bunch with 7 or more assists, and he's hit a 3 in nearly every outing. He's not just hot, he's dependable. The Lakers can lean on him, and that's what they've needed. He's doing all this while playing over 34 minutes a game, carrying a massive workload, and still showing up every single night. Since the trade, he's also bringing an edge. There's a sense of urgency in how he plays now. It's not just about highlights. It's about controlling games, closing quarters, and winning. And it's working. His presence has completely shifted the Lakers' offensive rhythm. They've got someone who can go get a bucket when everything breaks down, someone who can create a shot for others, and someone who can control a late game possession without panicking. Every team needs a closer, and Luka's stepping into that role fast. He's already hit big shots in crunch time. He's already delivered in fourth quarters. And now that he's building more chemistry with his teammates, that's only going to get scarier. There's not much you can do when a guy can hit deep threes, get to the line, and thread passes through defenders, all in one possession. This run since February 1st hasn't just been about filling the box score. It's been about shifting momentum, lifting up the team, and becoming the heartbeat of a franchise. The Lakers needed a jolt, and Luka has given them way more than that. He's been dominant, efficient, and steady. And if this is just the beginning, the rest of the league should be watching closely. But lastly, I want to talk about Reeves. It's crazy how much better he got. Austin Reeves has taken a massive leap this season, and the numbers prove it across the board. Compared to last year, his growth is obvious, not just in scoring, but in how involved he's become in every part of the Lakers' game plan. He's averaging 19.7 points per game this season, nearly a full 4-point jump from the 15.9 he put up last year. That's not a small bump. It's a sign that he stepped into a much bigger role and embraced it fully. He's also playing more minutes, going from 32.1 last season to 34.6 this year. Those extra minutes aren't just for show, he's earned them. The coaching staff trusts him more, and he's delivering with more responsibility. His usage rate jumped from 20.4% to 23.9%, which means more of the offense is running through him. And somehow, despite the added volume, he's remained incredibly efficient. He's shooting 45.1% from the field. That's a slight drop from last year's 48.6%. but it makes sense when you consider that he's taking more shots, creating more off the dribble, and facing more defensive attention. And he's still knocking down 36.5% of his threes, which is right on par with last year's 36.7%. So even with a bigger role and tougher looks, his outside shooting hasn't dropped off at all. At the free throw line, he's gotten even better. He's hitting 87.2% of his free throws this year, up from 85.3% last year. That improvement might not look huge on paper, but it's the kind of small edge that separates good guards from great ones. It shows focus, control, and poise in high-pressure moments. He's also become a better facilitator. His assists, Salwa, are up to 5.9 per game, just a tick above last year's 5.5. But it's the way he's getting those assists that stands out. He's creating more out of pick and rolls, pushing the pace more often, and finding open shooters with precision. That's one of the biggest reasons his offensive rating has stayed steady at 119.8, even with his usage climbing. He's not just looking for his own shot, he's making the entire offense move. And on the other end of the floor, he's improved even more. His defensive rating has dropped from 123.9 last year to 117 this season. That's a big shift. It means he's defending better, helping more off ball, and holding his ground in one-on-one situations. He's reading plays quicker and contesting shots more effectively. That 6-point difference is part of why his net rating jumped from negative 4.1 last season to plus 2.8 this year. That swing shows how much more valuable he's become to the team when he's on the floor. His true shooting percentage dipped slightly from 61.3 to 60.2, but it's still well above league average. That shows he's not just chucking shots or forcing things. He's picking smart spots, hitting threes, getting to the line, and scoring inside when needed. All of that contributes to him being a reliable scoring option on a nightly basis. And then there are the breakout games. On January 17th, against the Nets, he dropped a career-high 38 points. That was a big moment in itself, but just a few weeks later, he shattered that number. On February 8th against the Pacers, he scored 45 points. 45. That performance put him in elite company, becoming just the fourth Laker in the last 20 years to score at least 45 points in a game. The only other names on that list? Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. That's not just a good night, it's a career-defining moment, and it speaks to how far he's come. What's also clear is how much more confident he's playing. He's not just reacting anymore, he's dictating. He's pulling up in transition, attacking defenders off the bounce, and making smart reads when help comes. He's drawing fouls at a higher rate, handling defensive pressure better, and becoming more vocal on both ends. And with players like Luka and LeBron James on the floor, it would be easy for someone like Reeves to shrink. But instead, he's thriving. He's not waiting for his moment. He's creating it every time he touches the ball. His improvement isn't just about stats either. It's about presence. When Reeves is on the floor, the Lakers play with more rhythm. The ball moves. The spacing improves. The offense flows better. And defensively, he's holding his own against bigger wings, fighting through screens, and making plays that don't always show up in the box score. His effort has always been there, but now the results are showing up in wins and real production. Reeves has also become a consistent closer. When the game's tight late in the fourth, he's on the floor. He's making big free throws, hitting important shots, and making smart passes. That trust from the coaching staff is earned, not given. And this season, he's earning it more and more with every game. He's become one of the most dependable players on the team, not just for a young guard, but for any player in the rotation. The fact that his usage has gone up without hurting his efficiency is rare. It means he's learning how to handle more responsibility while still playing within himself. He's not forcing things, and he's not backing down either. He's walking that line perfectly, and that's what's helping him make such a big leap this year. He's also shown that he can still impact the game when his shot isn't falling. Some nights he's scoring 25, 30, even 40 plus. But on other nights, when the shot's off, he's still rebounding, passing, defending, and making winning plays. That kind of maturity in his game is what's going to keep him in the league a long time. And this year, that all-around game is becoming more polished, more consistent, and more valuable. Austin Reeves is no longer just a role player or a promising young guard. He's become one of the most improved players in the league. He's scoring more, assisting more, defending better, and doing it all with more minutes, more touches, and more responsibility. He's proven that last year wasn't a fluke, and this year, he's putting everyone on notice. The Lakers needed someone to step up this season, and Reeves answered that call with everything he had. And the best part? He's still getting better. Overall, though, that was the craziest game I've ever seen. I mean it. Top to bottom, it was chaos in the best possible way. Between LeBron's last-second heroics, Luka's takeover, and Reeves putting on a show, that game had everything a fan could ask for. And now, After watching the way this team came together in the clutch, it's hard not to feel like something's building in Los Angeles. You could see it in the body language. You could feel it in how every player kept stepping up when things started to fall apart. That wasn't just a lucky escape, they earned it. This game didn't just show off their top-tier talent, it showed resilience. The Lakers got punched in the mouth, gave up a big run, lost momentum, turned the ball over way too much, and still found a way to win. That matters, because winning in the NBA isn't about being perfect. It's about surviving the swings, battling through the mess, and delivering when the pressure is at its highest. And that's exactly what they did. It wasn't pretty, but it was gutsy. It was a win that felt heavier than one check mark in the standings. This one showed who they are when the lights are bright and the game's hanging by a thread. And it's not just about one guy carrying the load. Sure, LeBron did what he's done his entire career, stepped up when the moment demanded it. But this was a team win. Everybody played a part. Reeves went wild in the second quarter. Luka steadied everything every time things got tight. Hayes was flawless. Hachimura gave them huge shots. Finney-Smith's energy and shot making kept them afloat. Even the guys who didn't fill the box score made winning plays. They fought through a tough third quarter, kept answering every Indiana punch, and then pulled out the wildest finish you'll see all year. What makes it even more exciting is that this didn't feel like a one-off. This felt like a glimpse of what they're building. Luka looks like he's been wearing purple and gold his whole life. Reeves is stepping into his role like a guy who's not just breaking out, he's arriving. LeBron's still doing what no one else in year 22 has even attempted. The group is starting to gel. You can see the trust growing. The ball movement is sharper. The communication on defense is louder. The hustle is contagious. They're starting to play like a team that knows it can win in any arena, against any opponent, no matter the circumstances. The pressure's going to keep building. The schedule isn't getting easier, but that's exactly what makes this stretch so important. These types of games, these types of wins, they lay the foundation for something bigger. When the postseason comes and the margins shrink, it's games like this that players lean on. It's those memories that tell a team, we've been here before, we can do this again. The Lakers didn't just survive, they proved something to themselves. And that might matter even more than the win itself. I've watched a lot of Lakers basketball, and I've seen my fair share of wild finishes. But this one had everything. Stars rising, role players shining, a game that swung back and forth like a pendulum, and then a buzzer beater tip-in to end it all. That's the kind of night you remember. That's the kind of game that feels like a turning point. Not just because of the result, but because of the way it happened. This team didn't fold, they finished. So yeah, that was the craziest game I've ever seen. And after watching what just went down, I can't wait to see what they do next. If you guys enjoyed this, I'll be posting every day during this season. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.